Greetings fellow Jedi and allies in the Force, my name is Master Arkneon, and today I will be going over each of the specific roles in PvP, which is Tank, DPS, and Healer. I'm basically just going to be going into each of the specific war zones, and I'm going to just go over some of the basic concepts you need to know for your role in PvP in order for you to be successful. So without further ado, let's go ahead and launch right into it here. So as a tank in PvP, your goals are more defensive than offensive. Because you can take a lot of hits. So if you can still go on the offensive, but if you see that there's not really a node defended, you might want to stick to the defensive because you can take a lot of hits and you can definitely stall your enemy long enough for backup to arrive. As you can see right here, I'm going to remain in the middle so I can pick up the ball once either my team caps or I lose the ball, so I can pick up real quickly and make sure we're still on the upper hand. Definitely as a tank in PvP, you're going to be the one that's going to want to take a lot of hits, especially in a situation like this. You're going to want to be able to take the ball, and such as hut ball, or you're going to want to be on the defensive. Now realize that you're not invincible, but you can certainly last longer than a lot of other people will. So definitely remember that you have armor that you can take hits, and use it to your advantage well. Now always remember that if you can guard someone, definitely do it. Usually you want to guard a healer, but sometimes there aren't any healers available, so in that case just go for a DPS that is dealing a lot of damage, because you can reduce the damage that they will take, and they'll stay alive longer. In cases like this is where a taunt would be helpful. It'll reduce the damage that your ally would take, and it'll definitely allow them long enough to hopefully get the score here. Now always remember that you can't really do much damage as a tank, but you can still be a really good distraction, and you can still keep people busy. As you can see right here, I'm attacking a healer, and I probably can't kill her, but if I can keep her at least distracted from her job, then that'll be enough to really make a difference. So we've just gone over the tank's role in PvP, and overall, just remember to pop your taunts at all times, make sure you guard your healers, and just be as much of a distraction to your enemy as possible. You can't really do a lot of damage, but you can still definitely be a distraction to the healer, prevent them from doing their job. You can take a lot of hits, so definitely take advantage of that opportunity. Now, to go over the DPS's role in PvP, my son Serrano has been so kind to provide video footage of his combat experiences in PvP to demonstrate the DPS's role in PvP. So let's go ahead and swap over to his footage now. As a DPS, you need to remember that healers need to be your primary target when it comes to burning down your enemies. If they don't go down, then your whole team's going to die. So make sure you just choose a healer, usually mark them, and then just burn them down. And make sure you work with your team as well when it comes to trying to beat the healers, because you cannot do it alone. Always remember that you do have CCs you can use as well. And even though crowd control doesn't exactly work as well as it does in a PvE situation, it still does exist. You can definitely keep your enemies at bay and keep just one other person off of you. And that's one less person you'd have to deal with. You can try to CC the healers, so they can't do their job and can give your team the upper hand. But sometimes it might be better to CC another target, such as an AoE DPSer who's trying to break open a door or what. So DPS also considered a location you're fighting on. Many DPS have definitely a lot of different locations they can fight on, especially for range, like someplace up here, for example, in Civil War. Would definitely be a good place to consider fighting. It keeps you out of the way, and you can definitely burn down your enemies quick without them noticing where the damage is coming from. So as a DPS in PvP, there's many roles you can fill, but never lose sight of your main goal, which is to help your team win the game. Make sure you always mark and burn down the high value targets first, which would be your healers. Watch out for their DPS, because they aren't as protective as tanks can be. So you may need to help them out when they can, and also make sure you always just keep being aware of your surroundings. Always go for the weaker targets first before the stronger targets. And yeah, that's basically the DPS's role in PvP. And finally, to go over the healer's role in PvP, my daughter Solith has provided combat footage from her combat experiences as well to properly go over the healer's role in PvP. So let's go ahead and take a look at her footage. So as a healer in PvP, you want to try to stay out of sight, but you still want to be able to do your job. So definitely try to find a good spot where not many people will see you and just heal like crazy. But if you do end up being spotted, you're going to want to try to find a new spot really quickly. Don't focus on exactly fighting people, just try to find a new spot where there aren't as many people, and it might take them a little while to figure out where you are. And that'll be the best way to just be able to do your job, still keep the group healed, whilst keeping yourself alive. Also remember that your CCs can definitely come in handy as well, just like a DPS's would. Try to CC a healer if you can. If you don't see one, just try to CC something, but it makes it a lot easier if you can at least make it easier for the rest of the team to DPS the enemies down. Not to mention it'll make it easier on yourself. You won't have to heal as much. Now there may be times where, as a healer, you might have to DPS a little bit, but remember where your primary goals lie. Only really DPS if it's really needed. Like in a case like this, if there's like if a guy's about to die, you might want to go ahead and lend a hand. But still, remember what your main goal is, and that's to keep everyone on your team alive. Now on the defensive, you also want to try to keep yourself as hidden as possible as well. Try to stay out of sight. Don't give away the impression that you are a healer, because everyone's going to target you. So just try to remain hidden at all times, even on the defensive, and you'll get hit a lot less than you would if you kept yourself out in the open. So overall, as a healer in PvP, you need to never lose sight of your main goal, which is just to keep your team alive. If there's someone attacking you, just do whatever you can to keep them back and suppress them, get away from them as quickly as possible, and always focus on your main objective. Also remember just to take into note which targets you should be healing more than others. Tanks tend to not really need heals as much as DPS, so definitely make sure you're keeping most of the DPS topped off, because even if one person dies, it can affect the outcome of the whole war zone. And that's basically everything I had to say about each of the roles in PvP. Let me know in-game if you have any more questions, or if there's something you feel like you need to add. Feel free to let me know. I hope you all enjoyed my Holocron. Thank you for watching, and may the Force be with you all.